It's already done that. You didn't see it coming. Shame on you. I don't have to worry about AI because my shows are always live, and I put out all the content. I do it personally, so I don't have to worry about it. I have one. I have two things that I did do. I worked with them. I like it, but they charge a lot, and I don't need them specifically because we had the numbers without them. The numbers didn't go up with them, so I could use to go with them or not. So, but I don't need to do them.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, babies in their diapers, welcome to the Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius Boy.
That's me, Tiberius.
And welcome to the Tiberius Show today. And I'm your host, Tiberius Boy. And as always, we're looking at various jobs and how they affect the world around us. Now, today's guest is going to be very interesting. We're going to talk to a TV show host and a background in radio, podcasting, and producing. Now, do we really know what a TV host does? Well, I think I do, but you know what? Let's just talk to this guy and find out. Let me introduce our next guest, the one, the only, the amazing Brian Sebastian.
Hi, Tiberius. How you doing, man?
I'm doing really good. Well, thank you for being on the show.
Oh, I was looking forward to it. You came with good references.
Okay, so you are listed as a producer and radio and television personality. So how did you get started in the broadcasting field?
Oh, I started a long time ago. I started with Merv Griffin radio station in WPOP in Hartford, Connecticut. It was all news. So in Connecticut, imagine the only news station. So I got a chance to interview people when I was first starting out as a desk assistant. And then from that, working at the same time, I started working at Jeremy Savage in the mornings on Kiss FM in Hartford, Connecticut. So with that, you start to learn things, the news side of things, which will never go away, and then the radio side of things. In the middle of that, I was working at Dunkin Donuts. So imagine doing all of that stuff. It was really fascinating. I still love it till this day.
Okay, well, how many different projects have you worked on?
How many different projects? You mean in general?
I think in general.
Well, that's the hard one. Well, you mean currently or going up to where we are now?
From when you started to now.
Oh, well, I look at it this way. If you're talking about projects, meaning jobs leading up to what we were doing, well, voiceovers, which I still do, one-on-one interviews, celebrity interviews, which I still do, going to the movies, I still do. I worked at Dunkin Donuts. I worked at UPS. But I was always in and around radio doing things like that. And then going from Connecticut to California, that was great because I didn't know I was going to end up interviewing celebrities for a living. Who knew?
Okay, well, Brian, how long have you been doing this TV show?
This one I've been doing for the last 5 years. But in general, I've been in radio, in and around radio since 1982.
So it's called Movie Reviews and More, right? It's very popular, I'm sure. But why do you think this particular project took off?
Being consistent, doing things that other people aren't doing, and you know that because you got a streak of your own going. That's half of it. Being consistent and just doing it. And a lot of people don't see all the work that goes into all the stuff that's going on. And you have someone behind the scenes there that's doing stuff, and that person knows. It's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that goes into doing everything that we're doing. That's how you do that. And then going to a lot of the events around the world that other people don't go to. You have to be invited to a lot of this stuff, whether it's going to the Super Bowl, which I don't care about, but I'm invited. Going to WrestleMania, going to an art show, going to a toy show, the world of dressage, the world of fitness. And they say, hey, the publicist calls you, say, hey, Brian, you want to interview Tom Cruise on a cruise ship for Mission Impossible? Well, yeah, you do it.
Wow. Okay, so what exactly is the content for Movie Reviews and More? Do you just rate movies?
No. In October of 1993, Movie Reviews and More, that's when I started it. That's when I gave it the name. You think back to Pulp Fiction. A lot of this stuff is before you were born. But Pulp Fiction is like 25, almost 26 years anniversary now, age-wise. It's considered a classic movie now, if you can
Yeah.
believe that. So Quentin Tarantino, director, producer, actor. Kevin Smith, director, producer, actor. Brian Sebastian, producer, director, host. We all come from the video store. Remember
Ah.
video stores? That's where I learned everything. I learned how to market. I learned how to go up against the big guys. I learned how to go up against a Starbucks. I learned how to go up against a studio. All the views that we have are my views. These aren't a network views. They're my views, which makes it different. I always said it's about the viewership, not sponsor. Not the followers, subscribers, or likes. I always say this: you could always unfollow someone, you could always unlike something, you could always unsubscribe, but you can't unview a view.
So you do video as well as product audio for only of your show. Do you get more people watching your video on YouTube or listening to audio only?
No, the audio side is really popular, but our video side is popular too. I just put all of our stuff on YouTube, anything that we've done, so people can catch up to it. Because our show is always live, never taped. And we have 140, this Tuesday coming up show will be 146 shows live in a row. And the reason for that is who goes straight through end of the year? You've done a lot of shows in a row. You've never missed a show. So we go straight to the month of December. We don't have any breaks. So every Tuesday, no matter where I am cross country, I'm always live and never tape. Who can say that? Who goes straight through the month of December? They usually take like a month off or 2 weeks off. We've never done that. Other people, when they start podcasts, if they get to their 7th podcast show and they're like, well, this is a lot of work. I'm not going to do it this week. You can't do that.
Can't
gotta
do that.
keep going
You
no matter
have
what.
to be on every single week.
Absolutely.
That's what I learned. The first 10
Well,
shows,
that's
my
why I
dad
like
said.
you because you're being continuous and consistent.
My dad said when I started, if you can do 10 shows, I will figure out a way to get you on the radio. Because my dad thought I would quit when we just started. But I continued. And he was like,
No,
I have to
but
do it
you know
now.
what? But do you know why a lot of people like audio? Because when I'm doing stuff, I'm walking around watching movies. I'm watching because I get a lot of the links sent to me on my computer. So I'm walking around the house with my computer, brushing my teeth, cleaning. So I'm watching a lot of the audio, listening to the audio, but I'm watching the video too. So I do both. That's how I can get through all of the stuff. A lot of people, they can't do that. Some people just can't multitask. I'm very, very good at multitasking.
I love multitasking as well. But do you need like special equipment to produce your show, or are you just using webcam? Like I do.
No. You could just use your laptop and a good microphone and good headphones. Usually I have headphones. Usually I'm plugged in hardwire through the Ethernet. That's how I usually do our StreamYard show every Tuesday night on Talk 4 Media, K4HD Radio, and Talk 4 TV.
Okay, so what's the most fun part about working on broadcasting with your own show?
I think putting all the guests together and going to those events that nobody else goes to. February, I was at Toy Fest in Vegas. I did 7 events in 5 days in 2 states. Nobody does that. I went to the LA Art Show opening, was doing that. I went to Slam Dance Film Festival, which was usually in Utah. Now it's in Los Angeles. I did WeedCon. I did a gifting suite, and it was the Oscars. All of that at the same time.
Wow. So do you
Think
have
of all that content.
That is a lot of content. I will say that is a lot of content. But do you have to write your own scripts, or do you have people that do it for you?
I don't write scripts. I don't do the scripts. Everything I do is off the top of my head. Meaning, if I got someone who's been in a movie, I know the filmology because I've seen the films. If something is sent to me, I've got to watch it. If someone's sending me a book, I'm supposed to read it. So that's what you're supposed to do. How many people actually do that? Not a lot.
But what is one thing you think kids should know about working as a TV show host?
Well, working at anything it's a lot of work, no matter what that you're doing. Like I'm in my friend's studio doing this. I'm cross country. I live in Los Angeles. I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina right now. So I take 2 travel laptops with me. One just in case my luggage gets lost, which I've never had. So in case I have my other one, just in case I have a spare. So no matter what, I call it my clean show laptop, meaning I do my Tuesday Night Live show on it where I don't have anything on it. And I learned from one show. I had one bad show. The internet wasn't good, nothing. So I'm always plugged in hardwire. So I can always have a good show because anything can happen technology wise, right?
Yeah. So here seems like a good time to get a quick commercial break. So you know what? Let's just take a word from our sponsors.
So you want to make an ad for your company, right?
Yeah, Tiberius, you want to help me?
Okay, so what's the name of the company?
PPWND.
PP what?
Professional Pressure Washing and Detailing.
So you like clean driveways?
Yeah, like that. We pressure wash commercial buildings and semi-truck and trailers.
So how would someone get a hold of you?
They can visit my site at ppwnd.com or call me at 407-900-7793.
So I just tell them to call you at 407-900-7793 or visit ppwnd.com?
Yeah, Tiberius, you got it.
Cut. That's a wrap. Just use that.
Oak Ridge Gun Range is a family-oriented shooting range that has been in business for over 30 years. They specialize in basic firearm training and offer numerous services such as consignments, gun trades, gunsmithing, and concealed weapon classes. I even got my training for gun safety at Oak Ridge Gun Range. Great customer service, and firearm safety is what they do best. So find out more at oakridgegunrange.com.
And we're back here talking with Brian Sebastian. Brian has interviewed some amazing people that I even want on my show. So Brian, I look back at some of your shows and it's changed a lot over the years. Who do you think are some memorable guests that you've interviewed?
Oh, George Clooney, Martin Sheen, Charlie Sheen, Danny DeVito, Charlton Heston, Gloria Vanderbilt, Janet Leigh. If you haven't the movie Psycho, Mickey Rooney, Milton Berle, you name it. Buzz Aldrin, astronauts, Mr. Fitness, Mr. Universe, Tony Atlas, a lot of Hulk Hogan, all of them. I mean, the list goes on and on, which is like Robin Williams, Gene Simmons, and the entire family. I'm the only one to interview the entire family that I actually have a photo of Kiss with the family. The only one.
Wow. Now, I'm lucky because I have a dad that helps me with the camera angles and production, editing, and most importantly, getting the guests. How do you get these awesome guests to come on your show?
I call them, and then I have publicists who actually call me, hey, can we put our client on the show? And I'm like, well, we're booked 4 months in advance. You know that. So that's okay. You can put them any place. I'm like, no, you can't put them any place. Everything for us is about energy. And then, when I look at it, I actually write everything down to the calendar. I take that calendar, it travels with me with my clean laptop. So I never lose it. I keep track of everything, our daily numbers. When we started our numbers, April 16th to 2019, we're at 730 million views and counting. By the end of the summer, we should reach 1 billion views. How many people can say that? You can see this number. I don't know if you can see that number. That's how many views we have. That's yesterday's number, not even today. So this number started when we came up from our very first show.
Huh. Wow. Well, how much work do you put in each week to produce your show?
Every day. There aren't any off days. Sunday was my first off day of the year so far. Last year, I only had 2 off days, but it goes back to October 26th of 2024. The year before that, I had 7 days. They were all half days. Because not the 7 days I had off in the entire year. And 3 of them were at Jump Corps events where I didn't do anything. But no matter what, I still have to watch movies. So I'm still watching 2.5 movies a day. That's an average.
So did you get your guests send a bio like I did for you? Or did you have to do all the research yourself to find out what's important about a guest?
No, I started doing the research in the home video stages when I was watching everything then. So I would watch French movies, Italian movies, Japanese movies, Korean movies, Jewish movies. I go to those film festivals. So I was doing work when you could go into the video store and find out about people and things at that point. And then when I go to the events, I usually run into people or I may know them. If I run into Hulk Hogan, well, I've been watching Hulk Hogan since 1978. all of those people like that. So we've been friends. So as you get older, you're starting to see, wow, there's less people around. There's not a Michael Jackson around anymore. There's not a Tom Petty around anymore. There's not a Quincy Jones around anymore. Frank Sinatra, all these people, they're all past. No one's replaced them. So a lot of those icons are gone now.
So here's a really tough one for me. I mean, I've had a few sponsored commercials, but after COVID, it really changed. Half of my sponsors went away due to COVID. And one thing I really learned is dead people don't pay. It sucks. But everyone hoppers to help me right after I pay them a bunch of money that I don't have. So how do you monetize your show?
It's easy. We did something completely different that no one's doing still till this day. I went after small mom and pop businesses. I went up against the big boys because remember I said it was always about the views? Well, society was telling you it was about the followers, subscribers, and likes. So if I went the opposite way and I could show you like that number that I showed you, and I've been keeping track since April 16th of 2019, and it took me 6 years to beat Joe Rogan last October 6th of 2024 by 35 million views, my numbers still go up. Think of your reels on Facebook. You're probably not even on Facebook. You're probably doing Instagram and TikTok. Well, you're leaving out viewers on Facebook. Think about, because kids still go on there, the parents still go on there. Think about this. I2247 out of Franklin, Tennessee, we have over 30 million views and counting, not on YouTube. I only have 2.2 on my YouTube channel, but I've got 185 on a dormant channel that I can't even get into. That number still goes up because of all the celebrities I interviewed on that. So there's different outlets. There's 13 outlets that I put all of our content on. Every single reel I put it on all those things. There's different eyeballs on each one.
So what motivated you to make your show about movies?
Because I liked movies, and I was recommending movies to people when they came into the video stores. And was one guy came in, he goes, "Why you should do movie reviews?" I'm like, "Well, how do I do that?" And he goes, "You have to call the MPAA." I'm like, "What's that?" Motion Picture Association of America. Now it's called Motion Picture Association. Now it's called MPA instead of MPAA, Motion Picture of America. So they changed it. And so I called them to go, "Hey, I want to come by." They go, "No, you can't come by. Nobody comes by to see us." I'm like, "I want you to meet me, and I want to meet you." They go, no, you got to send us a tape on VHS way before your time. I'm sure your director has a VHS tape or something. I sent it in, and they go, to be accredited, you have to have 5 directors. This is who they said: Steven Spielberg, Francis Ford Coppola, George Lucas. And I said, how am I going to get these guys? I'm not an actor. I don't know who they are. Well, what they didn't say is public access. So I started creating stuff on a public access show. I was the host and producer, and then they had the facility, and I used that director. So I'm the only one in the history of the MPAA to be accredited through the MPAA at that point. That's how I started. So movie reviews and more, the reason I called it that was it was about movie reviews in October of 1993. Remember Pulp Fiction? Pulp Fiction is 1994. So at that point, I knew more was going to be important, but I didn't know what more was. We couldn't have foreseen that everybody's going to have a cell phone and everybody was going to have a podcast. We didn't know that. So the more was always going to be important. I just didn't know what it was.
That's smart marketing. But do you get your guests that try to sell stuff on your show, and how do you adjust for it?
No, I find those companies where no one has seen the great product of things, like a trifold projector. This is the world's best trifold projector. I found them at the CES show, and you can put it up like this. I can screen stuff like this while I'm walking into the airport on the floor. I have that. I have a AI transmitter. See, I'm just picking up stuff that I have. We're the only ones iTour translator, 144 languages. So I can put it up to a movie and listen to it, because a lot of times the movies don't always have the subtitles at the end. I could put my translator up to this and translate in real time of what they're saying and read it, and it reads back to me. I can do that. I have a spindle that I put my phone on and my tablet on, and it spins. I have this, and I take this with me cross country. I have remarkable. This right here. I'm just picking up stuff that's next to me. This,
Wow.
I write down everything on here, charge it, take it, and you can erase it with this pen. Saves paper. That's just what I have in front of me. These headphones from A1. They got me these. I have some from Netflix. So that's just what's in front of me.
That's a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So I find companies that nobody knows of, and I utilize their brands that way.
Huh. Well, can you find me good guests?
Oh, that's easy. Yeah, I'm all about sharing. I like the fact I knew I liked you once Michael Whitehouse told me about you. And, you have your stuff on Easy Way. Well, I'm on Eric's show. I've known Eric since 2014. And because of Eric, he's the one that introduced me to my southern mom, Edie Han, which is why we ended up going to Tennessee. I know he didn't know that was going to happen. So from the last interview I have, it's got 689,000 views and counting from 2019. The numbers go up every day around the world.
Wow.
That's just one show. That was an interview on me in 2019. No, in 2018. The show went up in 2019.
Ah. Now, if a kid wanted to grow up and do their own show, what type of research would studies that they would do?
All right, depends what the kid wants to do. So if the kid wants to do movies or music, well, I would have them start interviewing the local band if they're in music. If they want to do movies, I would say start going to the movie theaters and then get some content, put it on your phone. It's easier to do than it was back then when I started. And then submit it to the MPAA. Let them get accredited. Then you get on the list, and then you can start talking to celebrities. And then if you end up getting a big following from your viewership, which is most important, it's about the viewership. Then they'll start inviting you to everything. Because here's the thing. If it weren't for the NFL, Super Bowls, viewership, the biggest show in the world, World Cup, the Olympics, the Grammys and Oscars, it's about viewership, not followership, not subscribers, and not likes, viewerships. So if they were going by that, we were going by that.
Huh. So when I started, we talked to 400 radio stations to get picked up by only 10. Was it hard to find other stations or other outlets to pick up your show?
I didn't have to find the stations. I went to one guy, he's out of Florida, Dean Piper, Talk 4 Media, Talk 4 TV, K4 HD Radio. He already had this platform built in, and it's a great platform. That's why I like it. So it's one of those things like that. They will come to you eventually, but you got to have the product to get it out there where people are actually viewing it and listening to it, video and audio.
That's cool. So what message do you tell children all over the world about being a TV personality?
Being consistent, interview everybody, don't say no, do something that's different. They may not like your show, but that doesn't mean it's not going to be in favor 2 years from now. You just never know what's going to be around. Every 4 years, something changes. Disney has this platform, and every 7 years, they release one of their classics. That still is true, because every 7 years, you got a whole new audience coming up. Still true. Things have changed on the streaming platforms of things, but it still holds up. And it was definitely that way in home video.
So on that note, let's take a quick break to pay some bills.
The Tiberius Show would like to thank one of their dedicated sponsors, Custom Designs Orlando. These guys are on Mills Avenue and do all sorts of stuff, ranging from photo ID badges, engraved signs, custom braille ADA signs, vinyl lettering to trophies and awards. The cool part about Custom Designs is they can ship products all over the United States. You can reach them at 407-898-0373 and tell them that
Tiberius
sent you.
Over 40 years, Lighthouse Central Florida has provided education, independent life skills, and job training to thousands of Central Floridians who live with blindness or any degree of vision loss. Whether it's picking out clothes in the morning or just moving around your community and serving Orange, Seminole, and Osceola counties, contact Lighthouse Central Florida at 407-898-2483 or visit them online
And we're back here with Brian Sebastian, TV host. So Brian, I work on some questions that really make my guests think. How do you deal with hard questions? I mean, have you ever had a guest that just doesn't want to answer one?
Only one. No, it was an interview, not a guess. It was an interview that I did. His name was David Cronenberg. And I asked him, and this is the last question I would always ask in an interview: what would get the audience to come out to see this movie? And it should be an easy answer. If you're the writer, director, producer, or actor, should be easy. He goes, well, that's not a good question. And I'm like thinking, that's funny. Everybody else from Steven Spielberg, Tom Hanks, Tom Cruise has answered that question without a problem. So how come you can't answer it? And then here's the thing. I asked him the next day doing radio, because that was a TV interview. He answered it because I think he had time to think about it.
So, Brian, what was that one thing that happened in your career that you did not expect?
I don't think I can tell you that part because this is a kid's show. But here's what I can tell you. I didn't expect to do celebrity interviews. I didn't know I was going to do that. That's just something that happened. I wanted to be on the radio and to just be playing, top 40 R&B hits, which is what I did. But traditional radio changed. You had a guy named Sean Fanning come in, and he changed the whole world of music with Napster. And ask your dad about that. It was one of those things where that changed the whole music industry, where it never turned back at that point. Free download music and everything like that. It changed the whole business. So when you see these things coming up like this, or the .com era, when .coms came in, seeing all these things where all of a sudden a lot of investors were just putting a boatload of money out there, and then it dries up, what do? So that's why we never went after investors. We always wanted to be sponsors or people donating. We don't have to worry about the investors because things go up. Look what's happening in the stock market. Doesn't affect movie reviews and more. Dreamweaver Artists Ranch at all. We were prepared for it since 2018.
So do you think AI has a positive role in your industry, or are you worried it might take over parts of a job and cost people a living?
It's already done that. You didn't see it coming. Shame on you. I don't have to worry about AI because my shows are always live. And I put out all the content. I do it personally, so I don't have to worry about it. I have two things that I did do. I worked with them. I like it, but they charge a lot, and I don't need them specifically because we had the numbers without them. The numbers didn't go up with them, so I could use to go with them or not. But I don't need to do them.
So if you could go back in time and give your 14-year-old self advice, what would it be?
You're on the right path. You made it. Don't worry.
So what was the biggest mistake that you've ever made, and how did it change you as a person?
The biggest mistake?
Mm-hmm.
No mistakes, they're life lessons. Good and or bad, you have to look at it that way because everybody is going to have a lot of boulders thrown on their street or on their road. It's how you get around them. You got to go over it, through it, underneath it, move it, whatever it takes to get there. Because if you're really serious about achieving your goal, whatever that may be, nothing's going to stop you. Nothing.
So what do you do for fun when you're not working, like on those few days off?
Watching movies is fun. That's always fun, but it's got to be a good movie. And then going to a drum and bugle corps show. Drum and bugle corps is a marching band on steroids. That's what started me with everything. Now, you're in Orlando, Florida, so it's one of those things where the Orlando Magic Drum and Bugle Corps used to be there. They're not around anymore. So Santa Clara Vanguard from Santa Clara, California is my favorite drum corps. So it's one of those things you can only march from age 14 to 21 and you age out. But the discipline on what those kids are, they become rock stars. Everybody who comes to see them is a fan of that kid. And then they age out. It's almost like you graduate high school and you go on to the next thing. And that may, for some of them, that may be it. But that's never left me. So if it weren't for that world, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing and having the discipline to do it.
Well, do you play video games? And if you do, what's your favorite one?
I played the video games, but I played the 80s and 90s video games. I didn't want to play the newer games because I would have been hooked on it. I got a lot of those games sent to me for free. I either sold them or I gave them away to friends because I knew I wouldn't be able to. It was a choice. Did I want to play video games or did I want to do movies and movie reviews and interview people? Well, I chose to do the movies. So to this day, that was the right decision because there's no way I could have watched all those video games. And I've always said this, that the best fantasy for video game people was just to be locked down in a room. But during a lockdown, they didn't get a chance to do what they wanted to do because they didn't see everybody being in the same room as them as they were locked down playing their games. That would have been the best time to be a gamer. And it wasn't the best time to do it because everybody else was in their space too.
So, what is your favorite book to read?
It's the day man, I forgot the name of it. It was basic. Oh, Behold a Pale Horse. That's what it is. It's basically on conspiracies, government cover-ups, UFOs, and things like that. And I read that in 1988.
Huh. Okay. Now, can you tell me that one story? So can you tell me that one story? Remember, this is a kid's show. But that one story, well, that you're not supposed to tell me about. Come on, you can tell me.
Playing chess and winning with a bunch of naked women around. And it wasn't at the Playboy Mansion.
Huh. Was that fun?
Hell yeah, it was fun. Nobody can say that they did it because it's a lot deeper than that.
Well, is there anything else you think my listeners should know about you and what you do other than playing chess and winning with naked women around?
It wasn't my party. I was invited to it, but I ended up getting the world's second best patent attorney from that, Greg Piccinelli. He was there. I was playing against him. Who would have known? So you just never know where you're going to meet people. And another situation like that, I ended up meeting a friend who went to Oklahoma State University, Oklahoma University, and his roommate was Stan Rosenfeld. Well, Stan Roosevelt's one of the world's best publicists. His clients are George Clooney, Danny DeVito. He had Will Smith. He had Charlie Sheen until he couldn't take it anymore. He has Helen Mirren. He has Morgan Freeman. The list goes on and on and on. And now, if I hadn't been at that party, I would have never met him to turn me on to Stan, who I was seeing all the time. I just didn't know it. So you never know where you're going to meet people.
Huh. So, do you have a Facebook or a website for my listeners who want to follow you?
Yeah. Facebook is Brian Sebastian 169. LinkedIn is always great. You can find us on the dreamweaverarts.org. And Instagram, obviously, Drum Corps Nut. I'm a drum corps nut. So Drum Corps Nut with a S, nut, and movie reviews and more.
Okay, well, what is that one question that you think I forgot to ask you?
Is anybody going to be able to beat what we've done?
Well, is anybody?
Well, you're on the right path. You got a winning streak going of not missing a show. That's on the right path. Uh-huh. And that's a good thing. Of course, you want someone to beat your record because that's why you put it up there. I didn't know I was going to do this, and I'm kind of retired now, so it's good to have that young, youthful energy. Give them something to go after, right?
Yeah. Well, thank you. I've taken a few notes, and I want to just thank you, Brian, for being my special guest. Can you stick around for Math Corners?
Yeah.
Aw, Dad, my computer's slow again and I can't play my games.
Call your computer solutions today, and we will scan for viruses and clean that computer up remotely and make it fast again. Our phone number is 407-826-0810.
Thanks, Dad. My computer's fast again. Now I can do my homework. Thanks for calling your computer solutions at 407-826-0810.
Tiberius' favorite subject, it's Math Corners!
And now it's time for Math Corners. Thank you so much, Brian, for helping me with Math Corners. This week, we're just talking multi-step word problems, and my dad is always going to find problems for me to solve. Today, we're going to talk about booking guests. Fitting, right? Well, a TV producer is planning a guest schedule for a talk show that airs only once a week. She wants to book guests 3 months in advance. Each month has 4 weeks, and she plans to have 2 different guests on each episode. To be safe, she books 10% more guests than needed, just in case some cancel last minute. So how many guests total does she book, and if 4 people cancel, does she still have enough guests for the shows?
See, I was looking for my calendar of all the guests that I booked because I booked 4 months in advance, so I understand that. So for me, I'm always booking 2 or 3 guests on because our shows are packed. Because there's only 52 weeks in a year. That's not enough for us to get everybody in that time spent for a 50-minute live show. And so when it comes to that, I always want to have that 2 or 3 guests. It's not booked. It's not in case one drops out. It's because that's the room that I can fit them in, if that makes sense. So it's the opposite. So if you're doing it the opposite way, you're going to be fine. And the more you continue on, like what you guys are doing, you don't have to worry about guest booking out because you're always going to have enough. So to answer your number one, I don't know, but that's how I do it.
Well, first, this is a world problem because, it's important to re-plan out in each guest to go as going on the show. So, and you have to set up backups just in case of a cancellation or emergency. So first, you have to figure out the number of guests needed and then add the 10%. So 3 months of 4 weeks is 12, so that's really easy. Then times that by 2 guests per show, and that's 24 guests. Now you have to times by 0.1 in order for the 10% to get 2.4 and round up because you can't have a part of a guest, It's kind of death. So 24 plus 3 is 27 guests because you round up to the nearest person. So that means if 4 people cancel, she will not have enough guests because you will be short 1 guest. Now, I do this with a 4-guest show, and we always book 2 extra backups per show. That's 50%.
See, but I disagree with that because I always did that way, and I never had that problem of people canceling, if that made sense. It was more scheduling problems. So I had always overbooked the 4, and I was hoping just to have 2, if that made sense. And I would always have 4 seats in my studio. I was happy with that. So I always had too many, if that made sense.
So, Brian, do you have to plan for when a guest cancels or has a problem? And
no.
What do you do about it?
No. I always have too many people on. I don't have that worry. No.
Well, my teacher said that I would use math every single day. How do you use math with your work other than the view count?
I literally, the old-fashioned way, I write everything down on pieces of paper. I write them down like this.
But what about the pad book that you were showing us earlier?
Well, yeah, I put everything that's important in this so it doesn't go away. The other one, I burn it or whatever. I don't like to waste stuff, but I document it, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then because there's always going to be people that don't believe you, so I put a paperclip on them and I put it in the folder in case someone does a documentary or whatever. Here you go. It's dated.
Well, thank you so much, Brian, for your help with Math Corners.
And by the way, I was terrible at math. I never got it.
And now it's time for the heart of a lion. As you know, we talk about the qualities of being the heart of a lion. It stands for leadership, integrity, obedience, and nobility. This week, we're going to talk about leadership. For me, I think leadership is the act of loving what is good, having self-control, and being disciplined. The qualities of leadership are providing guidance and direction, organization, and being a positive influence on others. Well, this week, I was helping my friend learn about broadcasting. I was invited to be on a political show and talk about book banning. I got my best friend to do the show with me so he could learn about being on camera and sharing his ideas. The show had a few technical issues, but my friend and I had a blast, and we worked with 2 adult guests to understand and talk about our ideas of why people might want to control the content of books in our school libraries. It was leadership to get my friend on the show and give him tips to set up his camera right and give him ideas to best enjoy the experience. So Brian, did you see or use leadership at all this week?
Oh yeah, leadership comes in every day. You got to be able, once that leader loses his trust, there's no trust in that leadership. So you've always got to be setting that example, if that makes sense. So a lot of times you can't go and find it anymore. It's there. You've got to go and take it and make it your own.
Well, of all of the Heart of Lion virtues, leadership, integrity, obedience, and nobility, which is the one they see the most?
It's about leadership because I'm that follower until that person screws up. And afterwards, I'm like, okay, get out the way. Let me do this because life's on the line here. We, no accidents. I don't want to have anything happen to anybody. Let's do it this way. I let you do it your way. It failed. Let's do it this way, and it will work.
Well, we should always try to be lion strong in everything we do, shouldn't we?
Absolutely.
And that's our show, folks. I want to thank the one, the only, the amazing Brian Sebastian for being on my show. It has been so much fun talking to you today. I think we learned a lot about your work as a TV host and a producer.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. It's fun being on here. I like this.
Well, do you mind giving your social media and website again for the people that want to follow you?
Oh, yeah. On Facebook, Brian Sebastian 169. Instagram, movie reviews and more at Drum Corps Nut. LinkedIn, Brian Sebastian. And iTunes 247 and dreamerarts.org. That's it.
Okay. Well, also you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at The Tiberius Show. And I would like to thank WWPR 1490 AM, KNC 98, Soul Radio 24/7, EasyWay TV, and all the other stations that air my show. And please be sure to visit The Tiberius Show on YouTube and hit that subscribe button. So, Brian, are you subscribed?
I did subscribe.
Okay. Oh, and be sure to leave me a comment if you want to learn more about being in the broadcasting and entertainment industry. I answer all the comments myself. And also, be sure to listen to us next week on The Tiberius Show with your host, Tiberius Boy.